All right, sound check. Everyone can hear me, I hope. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to the Virtual Technology Conference. Let's get started. I've got a lot of information to share with you about perfecting your computer backup. So we'll talk about a lot of different things: cloud backup, local backup, disaster recovery, things like that. Now at the Maestro, I am the Maestro of Maestro Computing Services. Get this PowerPoint going. Yes, that's what I look like on the right-hand side, and no, I'm not dressed like that right now. I've been doing this about 30 years. So some people ask me why the Maestro, and there's different interpretations. Sometimes they call me El Maestro, a teacher in Spanish. In music or opera, I'm known as a conductor. Or in Hebrew, I'm a maven, which would be a trusted expert in a particular field who seeks to pass knowledge on to others. And that's what I'm going to do today, is to give you more information and share with you what I know about backup and some of the mistakes people make. So if we use the interpretation as a teacher, you're going to find me asking a lot of questions designed to make you think how protected and how thorough is your computer backup system. And that's what we want to know. I'm going to skip over the outline. We can look at this on the PowerPoint when we get there. How many of you have a backup system? And I'm hoping your answers are mostly in the green key and not the red key. And you may find yourself on the blue key, the maybe key on your keyboard, if you do or do not. So how many of you are aware of World Backup Day? Yes, every March 31st there is World Backup Day with the theme, don't be an April Fool. Back up your data. My recommendation is don't be an April Fool. Back up your data not just on April 1st, but every day of the year. It's that important. One of the questions comes up, why do we back up at all? Who knows? Well, because we may have a spyware infection, a virus infection, your computer may be damaged, maybe the operating system itself has become corrupt, or you've got a database file corruption. Now, Outlook itself is a database and can become corrupt, for those of you that use Outlook, among other things. Computer may not boot up. And I'm sure all of us have seen the infamous blue screen of death, the BSOD. Perhaps you've lost files or the computer has been stolen. There are many reasons to back up, and that's why we do. It's also possible the standard repair tools may be ineffective. So we want to deal with those. So now, what is a backup? Well, a backup is an extra copy of the files in your computer, the information in your computer, and the copy is saved on something outside the computer, and it's saved in a digital or an electronic format, not paper copies. We call this something backup media. So how much do you really know about your backup? We're going to find out. Do you follow a plug and pray, then a walk away method for backup strategy? Too many people do. And we see the pray key on your keyboard, and that's what I get calls about all the time. I think I have a backup. So what is what I call plug and pray? Well, many people buy a drive at a local big box store, the Staples, Costco, Office Depot. Now the hardware is inexpensive, and the actual backup software is free. So you simply plug in the drive and never worry about your backup again. Start worrying. You do get what you pay for. Is the free software and that low-end hardware the best choice to manage your priceless personal or business information? That's plug and pray, and I want to avoid that. Now, I will ask you this: how would you like a backup system for your computer that can send you an email when the backup has been complete? It may even shut off your computer when the backup is finished, and allows you to save information from an unlimited number of computing devices: a Windows, Mac, a smartphone, an iPad, an Android, any tablet. We've got it. A system that just works, all for under $60 for the year, for up to up to now 1,000 gigabytes, 1 terabyte of backup capacity. They just changed that about a week ago. That is iDrive, my preferred cloud backup provider. They have a lot of specials where that price can come down for the first year. Contact me, I'll get you more information, or go to iDrive.com. So we asked the question, how And where do we back up? Well, we use backup software and backup media. We use automated or semi-automated backup scripts to create a backup job and save the information in your computer. And we'll save it to external, removable, redundant backup media, possibly an external drive, a CD or a DVD, a flash drive, and now the latest and greatest is now the online backup service. What should be backed up? Well, anything you can't afford to lose. Your saved documents, your pictures, your financial information, your drawings, contact lists, anything like that. When should you back up? Well, regularly and on a set schedule. Who doesn't like a little more regularity in their life? Your computer really does appreciate that regularity for the backup, so don't overlook the regularity of a backup schedule. Now, one question comes up, what should also be backed up, and in my opinion, it's overlooked too often, and that's downloaded software installation files. We now get all of our installations no longer on a CD or a DVD, but we get them downloaded and saved somewhere along in our computer, and we need to back those up. They'll email you the information and where to save it, or how to save it, not where. It'll be saved in various places. But you also want to include the software installation's activation codes, any serial numbers, install codes, the magic license key that Microsoft will provide with a jillion different characters and codes, and don't type it in correctly or you won't be able to activate your software. That information needs to be included in your backup. So it's important to do that. So my big thing is manage your digital downloads of your software installation files. You can buy and download Office, you can download and buy Quicken or QuickBooks, TurboTax, all of those things, Adobe Photoshop, all from legitimate providers, and they get saved somewhere on your computer. Back those things up. Backup software is expensive, it's an investment. There's really two types of backup, and what I call the saved files backup. That would be the Word files, your Excel files, music, pictures, financial contact lists, and then what we call the entire computer, an image or an image backup, or sometimes a mirror image, which includes your saved files, as I indicated, including the operating system, your installed software, your personal user settings, the device settings for your printers, your scanners, your network, things like that. Where do we back up? I mentioned before, that is a local drive, a flash drive or USB drive, an online backup service, or perhaps a CD or DVD, even though they have limited capacity. Graphically, we look at it this way. Your computer's on the left, your laptop, desktop, backing up to, on the right, a flash drive or an external drive, and they come in many shapes and sizes. Or through the cloud, we can do the same thing, and you want to be able to watch where you're backing up to the cloud. The meat of today's discussion is really the Maestro's 4 Rs model for better backups. Your backup is not complete, in my opinion, and your system is not fully protected unless you follow Maestro's 4 Rs model for better backups, which is what I like to call the reading, writing, and arithmetic of backups. And they are redundant media, removable media, reviewing your backup, and the ability to restore or recover from your backup. So we'll go over each one very quickly and discuss each one. The first R is redundant media, and that is you want to use more than one set of backup media. If you're using a USB drive or a flash drive, use more than one. Why? Because every type of backup media can fail. Everything you use in your backup environment is the same as what's in the computer. It's subject to the same wear and tear of the computer that's being backed up. These external drives are not some magical, never can fail drive. They're using the same drives that you get every day. So you want to have redundancy, a duplicate, triplicate, maybe even a quadruplicate or more set of these backup media. Some of my clients actually have 6 sets on Monday through Friday, plus an extra that somebody will take home, maybe over the weekend they'll take out of the office. That leads into removable media, the second R. Now, backup media should be removed from the computer it's backing up. You don't want to leave it plugged in, because if you do, it can be damaged by viruses, power issues, fire, flood, Mother Nature, you name it. I actually had a customer call me and say they lost everything because they got the crypto virus, and it even infected their backups because they left their backup plugged in, and that was a major issue that had to be dealt with. That was an emergency call, not one of my regular clients. So you want to back up your computer, then unplug this backup media and take it away from the computer that is being backed up. The third R, and my passion and pet peeve, is the reviewing of your backup. So let's say you have a backup and it's set on a regular schedule every night, every day, Saturday 3 a.m., and it all works properly and effectively, without error. Of course it does. That's why we're all members of these computer groups and clubs, to help each other out, because everything works flawlessly and without error. Of course it does. So you really know. Well, do you really know? The only way to know is to review the backup system. Now, some backup systems can provide a backup status log after every backup job that's run. They can email you the backup status log, successful or even a failed backup job. And that's important to see also. Or it can print out, or you can print out the backup status log. If you're not reviewing these, you really don't know. If you're not getting an email notification from your backup system, my suggestion is get better backup software, because you're missing out to know if your backup is really working. The fourth and final R is the ability to restore or recover. The backups are only as good as your ability to restore what's in the backup. Do you know how to restore? Have you ever tried? Don't think that a backup is easy as 2 clicks and magically all your stuff is back. Don't assume the restore is that easy, because we know what assume really stands for, and I won't get into it. You want to learn your backup's restore or recover function, test it, and run a periodic restore of one file or another, a music file, a Word document, a JPEG, a PDF, something like that. The reason I stress that, and it is a stressful situation, is because when you have a problem, your adrenaline's going to be pumped up. You're gonna say, oh my God, I need that file, I need that PDF, I'm working on a project. Oh, I got a backup. How do I use it? And you're not going to know. So you want to know ahead of time. Don't wait until your adrenaline is kicked in, and then you need to learn how to get your information back. So learn your restore, recover function. Test it before your adrenaline kicks in. You have a disaster. It will give you a great tool to learn once in a while, and test it once in a while. When we talk about backup, we also talk about restore. Now, it leads me into the components of better backup software. Better backup software should be available for download, purchase, upgrade to newer installations, newer versions, that the software can be installed or uninstalled, and your menu item should include backup with options to back up files and folders. The restore option should be a standard menu item, and you can restore to the alternate or original folder location. An optional backup scheduling, and I don't think it should be optional, it should be required, with advanced features to back up on a set schedule every day. And the ability to see those job logs or status logs with or without the email and print option to see that your backup is working. You also want the ability to back up manually or on a schedule. If you want to run a quick backup, I want to run it right now. I don't want to wait for tonight's 3 a.m. backup. You should be able to do it manually. That's a better component of better backup software. A lot of the better backup software should include optional tools for special functions. When you're backing up to a USB external drive, you want a boot recovery media to be able to create that so you can back up and restore your entire computer from your backup software. And that won't work in the cloud environment. You want to have the options to back up open files, your SQL Server if you're using that. The most important one, I think, is the ability to back up Outlook. Outlook or Exchange Server if you're running that, but the reason I stress Outlook, we all use it, many of us use it, and Outlook is a hidden file, so your backup software needs to be able to see that hidden file and back it up. So that's what better backup software should include. Now, when we talk about backup a local drive and to back up using backup software using an external USB drive, we talk about a backup archive file. Now, your backup archive file is created by those backup software titles, and you want to think of your backup archive file as a shopping cart at the grocery store. And you'll put all kinds of stuff in the cart. Your fruits, vegetables, meat, candy, trashy magazine you might find at the checkout counter. Well, your backup archive from your backup software is that same shopping cart. It contains your Word files, your Excel files, your music, your pictures, your financial information, maybe a saved game. Now, the only way to get to that file, those one Word file, that one PDF, is to unpack or restore from the archive file to get to that one single file or saved picture. So backup software that backs up to an external drive would create a backup archive, and it usually requires the restore function, excuse me, so you can get to view, edit, or a file or a folder, and you can restore that information. That's how normal better backup works. There are ways to open files directly if the computer's working. So, but the thing you need to understand is that archives, those backup archive files, are in a proprietary format, unique to each backup software company. They don't all save it in the same format. One backup software title cannot unpack or restore from another archive file. They're not interchangeable. They don't all use a zip file format. There really is no industry standard for backup files or backup archives when using this type of backup software. And I'm not saying you shouldn't use it, because it is the best way to go for using USB drives. So when you want to unpack your archive, you need to be aware of the backup software and the ability to restore, and that's really a unique proprietary system. That is unlike copy or synchronization software, which would create a true duplicate copy, a usable version of your Word file, your Excel file, a picture, a JPEG, or perhaps a PDF, and that's a copy function. Understand that most online backup services will save a copy of your files, which can be opened almost anywhere, not this proprietary archive file, which is a good thing. So the online backup is a more efficient method, but it can be slower depending on your internet speed and your computer speed. But it is a viable alternative. So when we do have some recommendations for some types of software. My recommendations for local backup to using a USB drive, external drive. EaseUS Backup, they've been around about 10 or 12 years. It's reliable. They actually have a free version. It's low end. Novastore is a company out here in the Los Angeles area. They've been around probably about 25 years, and they've got reliable backup software for most every Windows environment. Now, the copy software, there's a number of them out there. I'm familiar with Folder Clone, where the symbol of their website and their software is the sheep. I didn't make it up, but you think of cloning the sheep. They've got Folder Clone, and it's kind of an interesting product, and it does work. They've been around about 15 years that I know of. I've been using them. I'm going to change the tune a little bit and talk about the cloud or internet backup, because that's the other stuff was all about local backup and general backup. When we talk about cloud or internet service backup, I would say it's reliable, it's safe, it is cost effective, and there's no extra hardware needed, no external drive. You just need your internet and reliable internet and the service. My recommendation is get your head and your information into the clouds, because really it's closer to heaven than you may think. So now, what is the cloud? We all seem to talk about the cloud. And the cloud is not a place. It's a freeway. It's a method to get your information copied from one place to another. The information superhighway, or the cloud, it can suffer slowdowns, traffic jams, and SIG alerts, but for the most part it's reliable. So we don't back up our information into the cloud, we back up through the cloud. A lot of people think I'm in the cloud. Well, it's actually through the cloud. Why the cloud? I can get into that in a minute. So information is saved and stored in computers that are managed by internet companies, backup companies, big and small. And these are the computers that hold your data. And they exist somewhere on the on-ramps and off-ramps and the rest stops of the information superhighway or the cloud. That's where your stuff is. Why do we talk about the cloud? How did we come up with this? Well, our internet nerd fathers years ago needed a symbol to represent the internet in their flowcharts and diagrams, and the agreed upon symbol was the cloud. Seems to work. Why? If at some point you want to download this link on the bottom from the Atlantic on the most useful metaphor of all time, the cloud, interesting reading when you have time about how the use of the term cloud has come about and how we use it so interchangeably, and it's a powerful term. So you can pull that link off of the PowerPoint when it's available. Cloud services. Well, what do you need to know about your backup services or cloud services? Well, you need to know the provider name, their website address. Is it iCloud? Is it iDrive? Is it Carbonite? Things like that. You also need to know your login name or service name. Is it through your email address? Is there a password involved? There should be. How do you log into that service? You can log in on the computer. You can log in on your iPhone, iPad, or tablet. You need to know that service name. You need to know your method of payment, usually a credit card. But you want to know the renewal and the frequency of the payment, whether monthly, annually. Sometimes I think Carbonite will offer you a 2-year plan, things like that. So you want to be aware of those things. You want to understand that service provider's delete policies. If you delete a file from your computer, is it still backed up through the cloud and remaining on that service provider's backup service for you? Some of them yes, some of them maybe no. So you want to get comfortable with your cloud backup service design and understand how they work and what their delete policies are, so you know what happens when you delete a file on your own computer. Is it still in the cloud, if you will? My recommendations, I've said before, I use and recommend iDrive and iBackup. That is from the same company. That is not iCloud, which is an Apple product. iDrive and iBackup are both from ProSoftNet here in the Los Angeles area. They're reliable, they've been around a long time, and their feature set gets better and better every week. I think they've added a feature this week to back up your, not your Facebook, that's been around for a while, but some of the other services that they've added, and they've lowered the price recently. And well, they've lowered the price, but they've increased the capacity to 1 terabyte. Your first 5 gigabytes with iDrive is free, and the iDrive is reliable, and iBackup is their more robust service. So, advanced features in cloud backup that you cannot do with local backup on a USB drive is to back up your smartphone or your tablet. You can retrieve your backed up information from your smartphone or tablet. You can access your save files from any other source, another computer, Windows or Mac. Your smartphone, again, you can access your files from there. You can actually open, I actually open this PowerPoint on my smartphone periodically just to see what's going on and how it looks, and I make sure my backup is working. You can do that also with a tablet. Some cloud providers will allow you to share files with others via an email link. Some of them will allow you to back up your Facebook pictures One of the more interesting features that many of them provide is versioning. And versioning is the concept where you can save older versions of individual files. This particular PowerPoint has got, up to 30 versions that I can go back to up to 30 days ago because I back up every night. You can go back with no extra charge and no extra hit on the capacity of your backup system and go back and restore something from a week ago, 3 days ago, 30 days ago. A lot of the backup services allow you to do that versioning, and I think it's a great feature. You can go back that many versions. Not everybody has the versioning, and not everybody allows you to go back 30 days. But you can't do that with a local backup unless you have 30 external drives, which some people might. But you want to understand that there are limitations in backup, whether you're using local USB or a cloud backup. Backup systems will only back up what you tell them to back up. A full system backup or a mirror image should back up the entire computer. Selective backup or your cloud backup can still miss important files and folders. So it's important that you carefully identify the files and folders you need to be included in your backup and have a good understanding of the computer's file and folder system and have an organized system for saving your work in files and folders. Don't just throw everything onto your desktop. That's not the way to do it. So it's possible to have misplaced or what I call stray files on any system, and the strays can get lost or be overlooked by the backup system. So you want to take an inventory of your important files and folders and ask if they're included in your backup. And if not, why not? You maybe want to go in, make sure those stray files are backed up, and maybe do a test restore. QuickBooks and Quicken are two examples where they're put not in your user profile. QuickBooks, I know, has been saved into the public profile in the My Documents folder. I wouldn't call that a stray, but your newer versions of QuickBooks may put it in that public folder or may not. You need to be aware that a lot of backup software may only back up your personal profile that you're logged into and may miss out on the public profile where your Quicken or QuickBooks may be stored. So it's optional, not optional, but where they put it. Install your QuickBooks, find your file, and make sure you know where it is included or where it's saved. So both the Windows and Mac environment do have a preferred logical file system. It's pretty much the same with your user profile, user files, and they have underneath that in folders my documents, my videos, my music, my pictures, things like that. And that's where most of your standard files are saved under your user profile. Mac and PC use that same structure, even though the physical file structure is different. So now, built-in backup utilities, another concept that's important. Some software has its own backup utility. Quicken and QuickBooks, as well as TurboTax, are great examples. They'll remind you to back up. Most of your accounting software should have a built-in backup. Most of the CRM or contact management software, like ACT or Goldmine, things like that, may have their own backup utility built into the software. The industry standard, the legal, medical, dental, healthcare, things like that, manufacturing, their proprietary unique software for those industries should have a recommendation for their own built-in backup or a way to do it so that they can, because it's a database system with all that information, they have their own way to back up their files and folders. Now, even Facebook has a way to download some of your Facebook information. And I know iTunes has very specialized instructions to back up your iTunes music library as well as the playlists. If you do not back up your playlists and you try to restore iTunes, the playlist needs to be reconstructed. So you want to make sure you're backing up everything in the iTunes library when you do back up, including those playlists. Outlook, talk about built-in backups. Outlook doesn't have a built-in backup. That's kind of strange, Microsoft. that means your all-important email messages and your address book are subject to damage, corruption, or loss. There is an export feature, but it doesn't really run automatically. You have to do it manually yourself. Most of your Outlook files are contained in a large PST file, which should be backed up or copied regularly. Note that the Outlook files are hidden. You need to know where they are in your user profile and make sure your backup software can find them. It's not really the best situation for something that all of us use regularly using Outlook, but there are third-party backup utilities designed just for Outlook if your backup system doesn't automatically look at the Outlook file itself. And I can show you some of those in a couple minutes. Some special notes on backup, built-in backups. Anybody using Firefox for browsing, or perhaps Thunderbird, which is Mozilla's sister product for email, there is a free Moz backup to back up your Firefox and Thunderbird information. It's a great feature, it's a great tool, it's free. It is designed by a third party. It is not designed by Mozilla. Been around for years, and it must be run manually. So you want to get into the good habit of using these built-in backup tools in addition to your bigger cloud or USB backup, or both. Why? Because these backups could be your life preserver for that important information. If you need help from the software, if you need technical support from Quicken or QuickBooks, our friends at Intuit, they know how to use their own backup utilities, but they may not know how to use or be able to help you with somebody else's backup utility. There are hundreds of good backup titles available, and you can't expect the tech support people to know every title and every backup software that's on there. So you need to be able to understand your own backup, but use the built-in backups that Quicken, QuickBooks, or your industry software includes, so that you back that stuff up to a folder, to a file in the My Documents, somewhere on your desktop in the Downloads folder. Include that backup file in your larger backup environment, your cloud backup or your local backup. Make sure that backup is included in the bigger backup. One thing we don't do often, or a lot of people don't do, is to back up your internet router. And there is an administrative tool in better routers to back up your router settings. That includes your Wi-Fi, not your wireless, SSID, the encryption information, the password to get onto your Wi-Fi, some of your control settings, and other router-specific information. There is usually a username and password to log into your router, and it's a good idea to know how to get into your router and manage it, and back that up on a regular basis. Let's see, the configuration settings. I've actually personally experienced an electrical disturbance that wiped out the configuration of my internet router. I had to reset everything from scratch. And it can happen. So you want to back up that router, or even do a printout of the settings for your router. If you have some other features in your router that allow pass-through to certain ports, those things need to be backed up, but you want to write down or print out that information because your routers get very specialized. Unfortunately, router backup is not interchangeable. You cannot back up a router, a D-Link router, and restore to a Cisco router. Those backup utilities don't work that way. But if you can get a printout, save the printout, a screenshot, and include that screenshot in your bigger backup, it's a good idea to do that for your router. Backup emergency room issues. Now we talk about CPR, computer CPR, and the emergency room situation. There's a number of situations. It's a whole different topic. There's a number of situations where your computer might need CPR. This would be where you have an unrepairable virus or computer infection, an unfixable damage to the operating system. The computer's lost or stolen, or the hard drive is completely shot. That's where CPR is going to come in. Now, regardless of what the problem is, if your computer can't be easily fixed, you're going to need this emergency room CPR repair tools. I will warn you that some of these tools and techniques will result in the complete loss of all of your saved files, your settings, and your installed software. And this is why I stress the need to have a good, complete mirror image backup as well as a cloud backup for your computer. The cartoon on the bottom, if you can read the small print, the doctor saying you've got a virus from your computer, we had to erase your brain, I hope you have a backup. That's where CPR comes in for your computer. So, what are these things and why do we deal with it? I think I've told why. It is your responsibility as a computer owner to prepare, create, or purchase the following computer backup and repair tools. Those of us in the repair business may not have them available for your unique computer system or your operating system. And they are, coming on to the next slide, the repair tools, and most of these are for Windows. Repair media for your computer is a repair tool, as well as the factory restore media from your computer manufacturer, whether it's a Dell, a Sony, a Toshiba, a Lenovo, anything like that. You can get restore media from your manufacturer or create your own. You also want to have this comprehensive backup system, which includes an image backup of your entire computer on a USB drive, and bootable recovery media from your proprietary backup software, and this is when you do local backup, USB backup. And then you want to have the redundant removable backup media on those USB drives for your entire computer. And those are things that you should have regularly and around. How do you create the repair media? Well, I will say the repair media is Microsoft's method to attempt to fix a corrupt operating system. That is not system restore. System restore is the first level of defense, and then repair would be the second. In Windows 7, you can create a DVD only, go to Control Panel and Backup and Restore to create the repair media. In Windows 8, we've changed it, they've changed it to creating a flash drive, and of course they've changed how you get to it and how you create it, and it's from Control Panel now Recovery, not Backup and Restore. I'm not sure what Windows 10 will have. I know Windows 9 we're not going to see. Windows 10 they may have a whole different environment. So that's important to create that. Factory restore media, something we all overlook, we don't get. These are unique options to recover your computer back to its factory state. A lot of them rely on a hidden recovery partition or utilities that are built into the system. I will say if your hard drive fails, the chances of your hidden recovery partition will fail with it. So I really don't like that kind of environment, even though that seems to be the industry standard. So you want to create your own factory restore media onto external media, whether it's a DVD or a flash drive. In many cases, you can purchase the factory restore media from most of your major suppliers if they have it available. Pricing ranging from $20 on up to $50 that I've experienced. It's actually easier to purchase that and have it on around. That's either a DVD or a flash drive that they'll ship you. It's easier to do that than to create your own DVD or flash drive. And it's a good idea to do that, and I recommend everybody invest in those factory restore media options. I'm going to skip over some of the other advanced features here because it's a lot to handle in a short amount of time, but we can look over those at the PowerPoint when we get it online, because there's a lot of things that I do to get people up and running. And after they've had a problem, I'm skipping very quickly, and I know that. Let's go back. Some of the, there we go, some of the recommendations I can make and some of the websites I can recommend for backup software. Nova Backup from Nova Store. You can see the link on the page. RTT.com has R Drive Image. I've actually used that. It's quite reliable, but it is image backup only. It backs up your entire computer, and it doesn't back up just individual files and folders unless they've changed that. Acronis has been around for quite a while. EaseUS Backup, the to-do backup, reliable company. Backrex is one of those from backsettings.com that will back up your Outlook and other internet information, and they have quite a number of different packages to back up your Outlook, even Outlook Express if you're still using that, which you shouldn't be because XP has been retired, but they do still have versions for that. So go to backsettings.com, check them out. Intuit, you don't really need to get a backup because it's built into Quicken QuickBooks as well as TurboTax. Genie Backup, Genie 9 has been around quite a while. If you're on a Mac environment, I use Bombich Software's Carbon Copy Cloner. I think they've been around 10 or 11 years. Seems to be more reliable or better than the Time Machine backup that's built into the Apple environment. Super Duper, it's a long website over there, but they're around. And then, of course, Time Machine for the Mac backup. But I prefer Carbon Copy Cloner. Moz Backup, there is the link for Moz Backup to back up your Firefox or Thunderbird, and what I'm indicating in red is I have personal experience with the titles in red. That's for local backup to a USB drive or a flash drive. If you're using copy or synchronization software, Folder Clone, Vice Versa, or SmartSync, those are good, reliable ones. And and then online backup services, I'm going to get into that. iDrive, iBackup, Mozy, Carbonite, Iron Mountain, Dropbox, things like that. Those are online backup services. So those are different than USB backup services. Somebody posted a question, what about Carbonite? That's an online service. So those are the recommendations I have. There are hundreds of titles out there. Everybody seems to be in the backup business and the cloud business. What I recommend is stick with a company. If you're doing a cloud backup service or any other service, stick with a company that specializes in backup alone. iDrive, Carbonite, Mozy, those are backup providers. That's what they do for a living. I kind of shy away from Amazon, even though the Amazon S3 backup is a reliable alternative. They also sell everything under the sun, as we know. It's not that I don't recommend it, but I would say stick with a company that specializes in backup only. It's been around for a number of years. People ask me about the best. Well, there's really no best of anything. Some solutions are better than others, and others work for for different environments, and you want to get comfortable with those things. Cost can make a difference. So, sorry about that. I'm going to skip over the alphabet soup because it becomes an issue with external drives. So at Maestro Computing, we do backup consulting. Those are the things we do. We review and analyze backup systems, make recommendations for better backup. We can even monitor via email your backup service, things like that. Most of the ones I've indicated have a limited day trial, 15, 20, 30-day 30-day trial, free trial of the backup software before they won't work again, but some of them work quite well. EaseUS Backup actually has a free version that works quite well. Complete, it is free for life, but they do keep pushing advertising to upgrade to their paid version. So that's about all that I can share with you now. We can open it up for questions. I see a couple of them coming up on the screen. And somebody asked, what about Carbonite? Carbonite's an online service, and it's reliable. The one thing I would comment on Carbonite is that I'm not a preferred user of Carbonite. The reason is Carbonite uses an always-on backup. Every time you hit that save button, it's backing up your system, and I believe backup should be something that's done and given priority to the backup on an overnight basis, even though you may lose something during the day. Carbonite may slow down your system if you have a large file. So that's why I don't care for Carbonite. It's out there. Carbonite actually does not back up an unlimited number of computers. You'd have to pay a license for each one. They do have packages out there. So HP Pocket Media, a question came up on Pocket Media. I believe Pocket Media is kind of a USB drive that plugs into a Pocket that's built into your computer, and it's got a built-in USB connection. It's removable. Take it out. Those are the things that I actually have one client with Pocket Media. It's just an external backup drive, but I would use real backup software. I would not use the built-in backup software. Would I consider Carbonite reliable backup service? Reliable, yes, but there are some performance hits and cost hits that I believe iDrive has a better solution. Question came up, how about Western Digital Cloud? I know that they have it, and I know Western Digital, along with Seagate, are the only people that are making hard drives right now. I'm not familiar with their cloud environment. I can't answer that. I know that when you buy a Western Digital drive at your local big box stores, you know, they have built-in backup software on those USB drives, and I don't really care for them because that's free software. So, but I can't speak about Western Digital's cloud. Something I'll have to look at. Friend lost data stored on Carbonite. She describes the company as not being helpful. Have you ever heard similar stories from others about Carbonite? Yes, I have. On Carbonite, I had an issue once with a client that couldn't retrieve some files because she was on a Mac environment and she had the Carbonite backing up her Windows environment, and they weren't really interchangeable. So that's why I'm not a fan of Carbonite, even though it's kind of my second choice. But it's out there. I mean, everybody may have issues. Macrium Reflect, big product. I don't have experience with it. I've seen it out there, so I really have no comment on Macrium Reflect, which is somebody's asking about that. I know it's out there. I don't know all the bells and whistles. Acronis True Image and Crash Plan. Acronis True Image has been out quite a while. Crash Plan has been out for a while. I kind of stopped using Acronis a couple years back because the engine got to be a little more involved. It's a good product. The company's been around a long time, so it is a viable alternative, and maybe it's time for me to go back and look at Acronis as another alternative along with NovaStore and EaseUS, but everybody has their preferences. Crash Plan, I know it's out there. I don't really have all the bells and whistles on that to know if Crash Plan is a viable alternative. Again, everybody's in the cloud business. I think Crash Plan is something I'll have to look at. And there's another one out there that that somebody is recommending besides Crash Plan. The Backblaze is another cloud service provider that I need to look into. But I haven't looked at everything, so Crash Plan is one of the majors that is out there along with Backblaze. Question comes up. For years we use a second hard drive to back up any important data, or use a USB drive to back up your data. As if you don't back up and lose data, it's called coping with loss. That's a good comment. And then one comment, Judy types, I like using iDrive. Thank you very much. The one thing I like about iDrive, and Judy's aware of this, is that they back up every night, and they do give you those emails, and you can actually email multiple people, myself, along with yourself, when we install iDrive, to say, yes, I worked, or I didn't work, and there's a lot more features that iDrive has. So if there are any more questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If anybody has any other questions, let me go back to the presentation for a minute, unless anybody else has any more questions. The backup summary: get and use a backup system, and use it for your computers and all your digital devices, including your smartphones. Don't use plug and pray, then walk away. Do prepare your recovery media sets from both Windows and your backup software. I think I skipped over something here. Stay current with your backup solution and the software. If it becomes out of date or the company goes out of business, you're at loss, you're at risk of losing your data. And if you get a new computer, upgrade to the backup software to be compatible with the new computer and that latest operating system. So backups are really your saved insurance policies for your data. Use a combination of cloud and local backups to protect everything in your computer. Question comes up on the chat window: am I available to do webinars to user groups? Yes, I am. I can do it in person if you're in the Southern California area, or be happy to do it via Skype. Just email me and we will certainly get involved, and I'm happy to do this presentation and answer more questions as needed. One individual writes, is iDrive free? iDrive, it is free for the first 5 gigabytes of your data. They tie it into your email address. You can actually refer iDrive to other people and get credit with iDrive to bring those 5 gigabytes for free on up to about 12 gigabytes for every, they'll give you like a half a gigabyte for every referral that you give. So that is quite reliable, but 12 gigabytes is not a lot, so it's not free. But they do offer specials. They're usually 25% off for the first year for new users for iDrive. They do have student discounts. If you have a .edu email address, you're a teacher or a student, permanently 50% off. 50% off for permanent students and teachers for your iDrive subscription. So they're student-friendly, teacher-friendly. The 99-cent only special, you get that iDrive offered several months ago was no longer in effect. That was for the first year. And but you get, when you pay those kind of things, you're actually getting the full service. You're not getting a dumbed down service or a restricted service. They're just offering specials for new users. So, and I think I'm running out of time, so feel free to email me at any time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody may have. I know the PowerPoint will be posted and the YouTube will be posted, and things like that. Somebody's indicating a lot of stuff on there, but I don't have time to answer all those questions. My email is being posted. Maestro is it's maestro@pcmaestro.com is my email address, not pcmaestro@maestro.com. It is maestro@pcmaestro.com on the bottom of the screen. Thank you for your comments and your questions, and email me anytime. Thank you very much.